Alright, we're on the 7th floor Neverland. We just got a new deck and I choose this one. Now you're probably telling me it comes after Atlantica in the game. Yeah, but you pick up a useful move called Glide, and you may or may not want to put Captain Hook in your deck. I usually don't, but he does have an okay ability, I guess. Peter Pan is your ally for this stage. Basically, he'll fly around, target one enemy, and then you can press triangle for him to start stabbing that enemy with his little knife. He does a good amount of damage, although he's a little bit short range compared to some of the other characters you can get. I should also mention he's only in your deck for a short amount of time if you're cruising through the story rooms. He's only in your deck between the first and second story rooms. After that he leaves and then he'll return for the boss fight. There's also a crappy sleight you can use with them if you use the Calm Bounty room. Alright, your Calm Bounty reward is called Teleport. It's something that you can use with Peter Pan if you have him in your deck. Otherwise it's a stop, an arrow, and an item card. Both of these two magic cards I can think of better cards to use with them. And then, use of an item card usually turns me off for that sleight. Basically, Teleport allows Sora to move through an enemy and temporarily stop them if it hits. Again, it's not a bad move, but it uses a stop and arrow card, both of which could be used for Lethal Frame and Tornado, which does a whole lot more damage and is a lot more useful, especially against a group of enemies. An okay move, I guess, but again, like I said, look at your recipes. There are better sleights to use both of those cards, and if you grind here in Neverland, you might be able to pick up those sleights by leveling up. One of the moves I learned by leveling up was called Lethal Frame, and I learned it here. 2 stops and an attack card. Sora will slowly charge up the Keyblade, and then he'll release it in a flurry of strikes, which will pretty much kill any normal enemy in one hit. Also does a lot of damage to bosses. Usually knocks around 2/3 of a life bar off a boss if it hits. So again, very good move. It's not perfect, as you can see. It does take a while to charge up. So in a boss fight, expect it to be broken if you're not careful and when you use it. Also has a range. Sometimes when you use it, if an enemy that you're targeting is out of range, despite Sora's quick movements, all you'll end up is slashing air. Another move I learned is called Tornado. Unlike Lethal Frame, it also has a charge-up time, but its range is a lot greater. Basically, Sora will twirl the Keyblade, and then you'll lose control of him for a while you control a tornado running around the battlefield. It will soup up any enemies it catches and then slam them down for a good chunk of damage. Also great on bosses. Starting from now on, you should be able to get key of rewards by battling enemies whenever you end a fight. So going and getting the Room to Rewards card should just be a part of your trip through the stage. Anyways, as you just saw, I picked up a move called Thunder Raid. It's similar to Fire Raid. You just put a lightning card and then 2 attack cards, and Sora throws the Keyblade with a lightning attack. I don't really use it that much because I don't usually keep lightning in my deck. Blizzard, Fire, Arrow, and Gravity usually do me pretty well for spells. Now, Captain Hook can be a rather tough boss if you haven't kept your deck updated and organized. Hopefully you have. If you have, he's not too tough. His main combos you have to worry about are Combo and Present, where he throws out a whole bunch of presents and then swings his sword at you. Another one that he likes to do is called Barrel Blast. This one's kind of easy to avoid. He'll jump on top of that deck and start throwing barrels at you. Break it if you see it coming. You'll have plenty of time. Otherwise, use things like your raid attacks or your Sonic Blade. Also, Lethal Frame, if you can get it off, will do damage, although be careful, he can break it, which is what he did to me. As far as enemy cards go, he has 2 abilities. One of them's a pain, the other one's kind of funny. The first one is called Random Numbers, which is what he's using here. This one's kind of a pain because the numbers will just run around randomly and you don't know what he's going to pull out. Neither does he, but it usually sides well with the computer. The other ability is kind of laughable, and when he pulls it out, you've pretty much been handed your key to victory. It's all zeros, which means you won't be able to do any slights. It's definitely not a good time to try to do lethal frame by any means. But if you just button mash, you'll win, because you'll break all of his cards. He'll break a few of yours, but you'll break all of his, and victory will be easy. Victory against Captain Hook will give you his card. Hook's card will give you the second chance ability, which was kind of useful in the original Kingdom Hearts, but not so much here. Mainly because you gotta put it in an enemy card slot, and it only works a few times per battle. I would rather recommend putting Oogie Boogie, or later when you get it, the Vexen card, which contains auto life. So, like I said, it's not a bad card. If you want to put him in your deck, go ahead. I just don't do it. Alright, now what I said in my previous video is true. From now on, in the hallway sections, there will be a boss waiting for you. So, get ready and prepared to fight a boss. Although I will retract a little bit what I said about they're all harder than Disney bosses. This next one is very easy. However, don't go in thinking that fighting and beating this boss will mean that he's going to be easier the next time. Because this next guy is going to be harder every time you fight him. So let's go ahead and fight Riku. Alright, Riku here uses pretty much no slights at all. He just basically swings his sword, strikes at you. His explosions that he can do is relatively small, only his down attack will cause any explosions. And again, with no slights, just avoid them and then hit them with one of your owns and just keep your health healed up. Using your new Light Thunder Raid like I did here will do damage. And of course, if you can get it off, use Lethal Frame. Just be careful, he can break you with zeros. So if he does, that means your slight's kind of tossed away. But he's still pretty easy. Also, next to Sonic Blade and Lethal Frame, you shouldn't forget that Wild Crush can do damage too if you can pin him against the wall while doing it. Defeating Riku here gives you a whole bunch of EXP in the Arrow card. Arrow, like Gravity and Stop, is kind of worthless on its own if you ask me, but it has tons of other useful slights, including that Tornado that I picked up here, as well as a few other slights too that you can use with it. So definitely worth putting in your deck. Maybe not right now, but when you learn moves with it, because there's plenty of handy moves to go with it. Anyways, climb up the next stairs. I'm going to take a break, and we're going to do 100 Acre Woods. We'll look into that bonus room and see exactly what slights come out of it, and if any of them are worthwhile.